It's Scott Fishbowl time. We're going to be doing the live Scott Fishbowl draft in Los Angeles this weekend with my guest, Jorge Martin from Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life. All coming up next on the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast. Greetings and salutations, everybody. Hola, salute, everyone. I have my friend Jorge Martin from Matthew Berry Fantasy Life joining us today. You know him from his days with us, his days with Yahoo. Maybe you even knew him back with the Dodgers. You've been everywhere, man. Thank you so much for coming on board today.
Oh, Jefe, this is so much fun. I mean, gosh, I can't believe we've been friends now for a couple years, over a couple years, and it's been quite the ride getting along here and hooking on with Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life just about a year ago now. And gosh, big things going on both the RotoWire and the Fantasy Life sides. Everybody's got new, I guess it's all the rage for the summer is instead of getting the beach bod ready, let's get the websites ready. So let's get the websites ready for the beach and for everywhere. So yeah, we just relaunched our new website. Please check it out. Please check out both websites. Kind of see where everything is at. And gosh, one of the things that's really been popping has been our newsletter, which has really been foundation of the whole company. And I get to work on it every day, 365 days a year, as a staff editor, along with Joe Metz, who's another RotoWire alum, and Nando DeFino, who's been everywhere. But yeah, it's just been it's been pretty amazing. I mean, I heard Matthew on the Scott Fishbowl Podathon on Monday, talking about the growth, and that we had just made the announcement about big funding from various partners, including LeBron James, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Jamar Chase. It's all these people who are just believing in what's going on with Fantasy Life and just helping us grow the company and just making big things. And you know what? One of the big things, Guillotine Leagues. Yes. I know you've played them. It's is it the fear of the chop, just like just like you're in the fantasy playoffs?
Yeah, exactly. It is. And I want to ask you, I saw your tweet about that, so I wanted to ask you about this anyhow. So you're in a Guillotine League. Do you draft differently than you do in a standard managed league?
Yes.
How so?
One of the things, I want to lock down a number one running back right off the bat. So okay. that is one thing I want to. Sometimes I will go zero RB. I think you cannot go zero RB in there. I got lucky last year in my Guillotine League team that went pretty far. I got Jaden Daniels fairly late, and he became a thing. I know getting hitting on quarterback is a big thing, and the other thing that I did was just get guys who are going to score. I mean, maybe they're going to score touchdowns, but the big thing is just get points, get receptions. If you're doing a 17 week Guillotine League, it's you just want to survive the first 6 or 7 weeks. If you're by Halloween, if you're still alive, that's when you can start really, really picking up guys. But to me, the biggest fun is the fabbing. The fabbing is just, oh gosh. I remember I put $500 on Justin Jefferson last year, and I never felt more alive all season. It was amazing.
That was enough to get it done. That's the thing that kind of shocks me is actually, oh yeah, you get one of the 5 best players in the game. Okay, sure, I'll take that. And I get them all season long. Great, let's go. Yeah, and it is fascinating game theory. Like, how much do you want to invest in early on in a free agent, or do you want to have the hammer late? I also think it's interesting in the draft. I think at the draft you want to be a little less exotic in your strategies, especially in an auction. Yeah. I think it almost you're almost required to have a balancing the risk sort of roster, because you're eventually going to be stars and scrubs. You don't want to be that way at first though, because if one of your stars flames out or gets hurt early, off your head you go there. I mean, I can see that there. So that's why I think you combine auctions with Guillotine. I think that's that's the good stuff right there.
Can you imagine? It's 18 teams, 14 teams each. I mean, there's so many dollar bids at the end. It probably goes even quicker than like a 12-team league because at a certain point everybody's down to $1 bids, and it's just okay. All right, you get this one, you get this one, you get this one. No, that to me that's next level. I've only done drafts, but yeah, it's I can't tell you how many times I've thanked Paul Charchian for inventing that crazy game. Awesome. Thanked him, and I cursed his name too.
Of course.
When I cursed my own name. I cursed my own name because on Thanksgiving weekend I sat down Jaden Daniels because I didn't like his matchup. Sat him down for Patrick Mahomes because I did like his matchup. That was the difference between me getting chopped. Those.
That's tough.
And I had studs there at the end. I have Justin Jefferson. I had Derrick Henry, Jaden Daniels, Brian Thomas was a late pick. So, one thing, rookies. Don't get them early. Pick them up on Fab, unless it's Ashton Jeanty. Somebody is locked into opportunities right off the bat because
exactly.
Like I had Brian Thomas Jr. on my bench for probably a month and a half, and then I was like, oh, this guy's actually pretty good. Let me start playing him.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Genty's going to be coming up later in our discussion for sure. We have some news. Though it's quiet news days right now, but unfortunately for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their all-pro left tackle Tristan Wirfs underwent surgery on his knee. He is going to begin the year on the PUP list. Usually you don't get that sort of pronouncement this early. This is big, Jorge. This is really big. He's great. B, he's protecting Baker's backside, and C, it's a brand new offensive coordinator. You're trying to work in a lot of new stuff. They get the Falcons in week 1, the Texans in week 2, both road games to start the year. They get the Eagles in week 4. If he really truly is on the PUP list, that means those 4 games out. They could start the year 1-3.
And those 3, especially the Texans and the Eagles, those could be top 5 defenses this year.
Yes.
And I mean, you think about it, how's that going to impact Bucky Irving? Because the offensive line, I mean, the left tackle and the center, they're both anchors of the offensive line, and like you said, he is one of the best. And oh man, it's going to impact that. Could it impact negatively Baker Mayfield running? So I mean, he ran for over 400 yards last year. I mean, he was a great player, and he was one of the breakout players last year. So, man, and does it impact those deep balls to Mike Evans because now they don't have that extra beat to throw it. So yeah, that one's a tough one. I'm a big fan of O-line play, and anytime that a guy is impacted like that, it just hurts. Baker
Mayfield is the start of the second tier quarterbacks. You usually see him go with, with Mahomes, and you see him go with Bo Nix. It's usually around picks, 80 or so, I would say. Maybe a little bit earlier in some cases. Do you move him below those 2? Does he stay in that tier, or does he drop down to the next tier? What do you do with Baker with this news?
I think he stays in that tier, but I'm putting below Mahomes at least.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I put him, below Kyler. Even though I love Kyler this season, but I still really like Baker Mayfield this year, and at the end of the season he's going to have a really good playoff schedule, playing indoors or in Tampa where the weather is going to be nice. He's got a great Week 17 matchup against the Dolphins, which could be a carnival game for the fantasy championship. So I don't want to give him the Heisman, but I definitely I think I definitely put him behind Mahomes, who I think people are down on Mahomes after the last couple years. I'm like, I liked what I saw out of Xavier Worthy there at the end, and I liked what I saw out of Rashee Rice at the beginning of the season. And I think you get the 2 of them at top ability. Rice hopefully is healthy. It looks like he is so far. That could be an offense that's Pete Overzet just wrote about it, how that's an offense ready to explode. So but back to Baker. It's begrudgingly behind Mahomes.
Yeah. A lot of positive buzz on Mahomes. I've heard that too. I've heard good things of Rashee Rice. Also heard like his legal status or his suspension status is looking pretty good for him too. So that probably bodes well for drafting him also. So all right, we are going to talk a lot about game theory. We're going to be talking about how to build a roster according to your the type of league you're in. First, we got to share a little business from our friends over at Circa. We love Circa Million, Circa Survivor. They are back with a massive $21 million guaranteed prizes this year. Circa Million, you pick 5 games against the spread each week, 18 weeks of action with 128 ways to win, $1 million for the winner, and $6 million guaranteed. For Circa Survivor, Survivor, 1 pick a week, no point spread. Last the longest to win it all, at least $15 million guaranteed. Enter in Nevada, play from anywhere, $20 million guaranteed. Visit circasports.com for details. All right, Jorge, I want to talk a little bit about fantasy theory for a second here. And I think all fantasy sports kind of go under one rubric, and that is there's 2 things you need to do well in fantasy sports. It's 1, master the player pool, and 2, master the game. We're all gamers at heart. We all like to try to win the game. And so I think that the Scott Fish Bowl really emphasizes that. We'll talk about some of that first of all. But do you agree, first of all, that that's like kind of how you have to approach it? You have to have those 2 pillars to do well.
Absolutely. I so agree with you there. It's, that's the great thing about best ball, because you could be doing a lot of drafts early. So you just get a better knowledge of the player pool, kind of like what tiers of guys and where they're going. I mean, things are going to be a little bit different, but yeah, I mean, it's, to me, it does start there with the player pool. I have a question for you on game theory. Do you have a way that you like to be drafting as far as, is there a zero RB, hero RB, robust RB, as far as how you're going into drafts with a plan of attack, a single QB draft?
I think you kind of have to adapt to the type of league that you're in. Like, you play in the NFFC, for instance, there it's 6 points for a passing a touchdown there. Quarterbacks, passing quarterbacks have a little bit more value. It's also 20-man roster, so you maybe think about that a little differently. Wide receivers carry a little extra currency. I think if you're in a Guillotine League, we talked about that, how the game theory differs a little bit there and how you do your roster build. So I try to be adaptable, even to the draft position, versus an auction, for instance, too. That's a whole another ball of wax. I think, I love auctions. That's my favorite way to play. I love doing fantasy auctions, baseball, football, you name it, basketball. I do fantasy. My fantasy hoops league is an auction league. I've been doing that league for over 20 years. That's my favorite way to play.
And I think the great thing about auctions is, you can kind of get into people's heads a little bit more than in the draft, than in a regular snake draft. And for sure. I love that. I love that. And do you go start scrubs? Do you go with a balanced roster? It's, love auctions.
And the funny
thing, they don't take that long.
I've changed my mind on that, by the way, over the years. I used to be very much a stars and scrubs sort of guy in auctions. Maybe it's because I'm now playing in more 14-team auctions, or I'm playing with more roster spots, and that has something to do with it. I've really become a spread the risk guy in auctions a little bit there. I found I've had a lot better results, a lot less volatility. And I think the room has gotten sharper. The people I'm playing with, and I'm typically playing with people that are awesome at this too. If I were playing with someone that's a little bit newer, I think I could trust that I could get my $1 guys to kind of come through. I don't want to have a roster full of $1 and $2 guys. I've also found, though, I have less self-control over the years too. It's this battle in my mind. Oh, I need to be balanced. Oh, he's going there. I got to keep betting. It's the worst. It's really the worst. I can't let him get that bargain. No way. But then it screws me. So it's so funny. Like you think that over the years I developed ways for having more self-control, but I feel like I have less.
And you know what? Nothing hurts more than bidding up a guy in an auction, maybe bidding, $52 out of a $200 roster, and then having the guy get hurt. It's just, there's no greater pain, So I'll flip the question on you. Do you have a favorite way of drafting? I do. I have been a hero RB guy. Yeah. Kind of developed a hero RB approach. I've dabbled in zero, and even though I like the sometimes I like the builds, I need that safety. I'm like Linus. I need that safety blanket with the running back. This year, I've played around with the little robust RB, kind of going RB right off the bat, just to kind of see that. One of my favorite second round picks is Jonathan Taylor. I really think, I know he doesn't get a lot of work in the passing game, but this guy got over 300 carries last year in 14 games. So you give me 17 games out of him at 20 plus carries a game, I think you could be looking at 1,500 to 1,800. What he did, 1,500, 1,800 yards. I think he was like over 1,800 yards in his 2021 season when he was the RB1, and he's still young. So he's that guy that I'm looking, who could do like what Derrick Henry did last year with a 17 game season, which Henry was top three or four running back last year, even though he didn't catch that many passes. So that to me, if Taylor's falling because people have fallen in love with the wide receivers in the second round, if someone takes, like if I'm picking late in the first round, somebody takes T. Higgins away from Jonathan Taylor, I buy them a beer as a thank you, and then I take Jonathan Taylor. So.
Okay, there you go. There you go. I found myself a lot of early drafting towards the back, and that's where I have gone a little hero before. I have I have that Genty Henry combo to start there, and I feel like that's pretty sassy. Now it doesn't always work. Sometimes it's Genty Thomas, sometimes it's Henry BTJ. Little neighbors mixed in, a little Collins mixed in every once in a while. But I found that I'm getting a lot of at least one running back in that spot. I don't love passing on all those receivers, though. That's the one thing I've found, is that you're really starting to find a little bit of a drop off in the wide receiver pool.
That to me it does get a little scary because right there in the third round, it's like, you're looking, T. Higgins may have fallen, and I know you're a Bengals fan. I would worry about him as my number one because he does have the spike weeks. To me, the big thing is his injury history may be getting a little scary because he has, he's missed time with hamstrings. And one of the things, Dr. Edwin Porras, my co-host on the Injury Prone podcast for the past couple of years, he always says, look at the injury history of the player. And at this point, there's enough data behind him to really just say, I'd rather get Jamar Chase in the first round, and then get him. Though one guy that's interesting in the third round for me is Tyreek Hill, just because after them trading Jonnu Smith, I don't think that Darren Waller is going to eat up over 100 targets that Jonnu Smith had last year. I think they're going to have to take some more shots with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. It could be back to a big year for both of them.
I'm scared of Tyreek Hill. I'm really scared, but
is it the age?
It's everything. It's the age. It's the fact that he, the patterns that used to work so well in the past got diminishing returns last year. It's the injury history. It's the off the field stuff. It's everything. The fact that he seems like he's always discontented. I don't know.
That is true.
I'm also afraid I'm letting the league have a bargain too. So, and I feel the same way about Christian McCaffrey. I don't know what to do with that. Hey, it's a podcast. We got to talk about what are you doing with Christian McCaffrey, because I'm not sure yet. My initial response is I'm passing on him in a late first round price or even mid first round price, but man, it could be the 1.1.
I've got on 4th of July, my family league, my Familia League, which was the foundation of the Familia FFB podcast that got me into this industry. Every 4th of July, we pick our draft order, and it's always at a family get together. And I got the number 8 pick, and it's a standard league. So I've gotten cute the last few years going wide receiver, and I didn't end up in the wide receiver last year. I got Hill, not Chase. So that tells you how my season went for me.
Yeah. So-called expert, Jorge. All right.
Yeah.
You get that all the time from your buds and your family? Oh yeah.
My family is just like, oh yeah, Mr. Mr. Fantasy Football guy. And I was just like, yeah, okay. But the thing is, at the number 8 pick, I got the number 8 pick, and I know the guy in front of me is a big Raider fan and will take Gene. Unless Derrick Henry falls there, I'm probably taking McCaffrey just on the chance that he's healthy. Because if he's healthy, he's going to be a top 3 running back.
My radio co-host Nick Whalen loves to make cross-sport comparisons, so I'm going to do the same here. I think I think Christian McCaffrey is Fernando Tatis Jr. for me. Someone I was swearing away from early on. At the very end, I caught a little religion, thinking I might be making a big mistake here. I did make a big mistake here, and passed on him and took Jordan Alvarez instead. That's going really well, but so I feel great shame, trust me. But I'm getting that vibe. Like, am I messing this up here? So I'm revisiting my thoughts on McCaffrey. I'm afraid not to have him. I also just don't trust the Niners for telling me the truth. To go along with the Astros theme. I mean, I don't trust the Astros and I don't trust the Niners when it comes to them telling me the truth about their injured players.
That is so true. Yeah, you don't trust Kyle Shanahan. Even when he says, "I don't know if we'll all be here on Sunday."
Right. Like a super volcano could hit. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, right. So it is tough to deal with there, but
it is. But you know what? You look at it. You look at the track record. You look at last year when he missed that whole, that big chunk of the season early on. When he came back, he was already over an 80% touch share. Dwayne McFarland loves to do the utilization scores for us, and he was back to like number one utilization, and Jordan Mason, who had been carrying the load all season, got like 3 touches in 2 games.
It's true.
And so, I think McCaffrey was over 20 touches in each game. I know Isaac Orlando got some good love there at the end. He was a great fab pickup for me in a couple of leagues. But I look at him, I just look at McCaffrey, and it's just like, listen, they paid this guy big bucks. And they're not paying him to sit on the bench. This is not going to be a timeshare like what the Lions have. They're going to ride this guy, and they have the easiest schedule in the NFL. It's just nobody in the NFC West is particularly tough against the run. I mean, gosh, the Rams still have skid marks from everything that Saquon Barkley did to them, and they still almost beat the Eagles. But yeah, that's why I'm just kind of like, and they have a juicy late week 17 game against the Bears, who I always find it interesting when a team takes on an offense. It goes from a defensive coach to an offensive coach. The offensive coach just kind of like leaves the defense to the DC, but the team never is exceptional defensively, like we expect from the Bears. So yeah. I think late season that could be a fun game. Hopefully it's a fun game, because that means Caleb Williams and the Bears are also good. So yeah. So let's go get some points.
Well, let's hope that the Bears actually try this time when they play the Niners, as opposed to last year where they just clearly had given up. So yeah, that was an ugly game for the Bears. All right, we're gonna tie in our talk about player pool knowledge and game theory next when we talk about the Scott Fish Bowl. But first, we're going to talk about our friends at the NFFC. The NFFC RotoWire Fantasy Football Online Championship is live. Once again, we are a title sponsor with the NFFC. We are excited about that. 12-team leagues, overall grand prize. You play fantasy football against us in our beat leagues and beat Jeff Erickson, beat Nick Whalen, beat Jim Coventry, you name it. Get a shot for a $250,000 grand prize. Sign up for a draft today at rotowire.com/high stakes. Again, that's rotowire.com/high stakes. Looking forward to another great season with the folks at the NFFC. As always, Jorge, let's meld it all together. Knowledge of the player pool, game theory. The Scott Fish Bowl is the ultimate incubator of that. He does it differently every single year. It's unlike any other draft that you'll play in.
It's ridiculous. Every year, Scott gets his mad scientist hat on. It's like, how am I going to screw with these people? And it's funny. I happened to be in Las Vegas the same day as the Vegas draft. So I just popped in to say hello. I wasn't drafting that day. Mm-hmm. And Scott was there. I said, you diabolical, beautiful man. I said, but then I looked at the boards. There were 4 drafts going on at that time. And I could see that his goal had been accomplished. He had finally gotten people with a super flex mentality, who have been in a super flex mentality where we've gone in and picked 10 quarterbacks in the first.
Yep.
Exactly. And I looked and like first round, 3-4 quarterbacks gone. I was like, his goal had been accomplished. People were drafting skill running backs and receivers and tight ends. They were all going in the first round. I thought it was glorious, and we're gonna have fun because we're at the tail end of our draft. You're at 11 and I'm at 12, so we're gonna let to see the whole draft just kind of play up in front of us, and we're gonna have some fun picking at the end. But gosh, what a crazy draft this is gonna be.
It is. Let's start off with the positions. You can have any position you want. You want 11 quarterbacks? Go for it. You want 11 running backs? Go for it. Actually, I don't think you can have 11 quarterbacks, but
two at a time.
2 at a time, but it's ultra flex otherwise. You want to have no quarterbacks? Hey, have no quarterbacks. You hate quarterbacks, that's fine. It's a beautiful thing.
I've a couple of my colleagues, Kendall Valenzuela and Joe Metz, tried the zero quarterback idea, and it scares me way more than zero RB.
It should.
I don't know how you could do that. I mean, I think you could get some studs all the way down the board, but unless you hit on this year's Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold there at the end, it's scary. I mean, I would worry about going into every week, where I'm facing a Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts, and it's just like, okay, I don't know how I beat these people.
Yeah, I agree. I just think it's a good floor play to have the 2 quarterbacks. I mean, they're the most stable commodity in sports, in fantasy sports. So, it's 100% usage. They're always going to be involved in the play. And in many cases, they're going to be really involved if they're a running quarterback as well. Scoring system. There's some unique aspects to the scoring system here. There's, first of all, it's PPR plus. There's tight end boosted scoring. The passing yards are different than most leagues. There's a lot. All touchdowns are 6 points. A lot of different wrinkles here.
It's funny. I was in a chat in one of my other leagues. Jeff Bell from Football Guys. We're in the same league, and he kind of threw it out. It's like, I'm on the clock, and somehow Bowers and Chase are, I think it was like at the 105. It's like, I did not expect Chase to still be here, but how do I pass up on Bowers with an extra point on tight end premium? And I was just like, oh man, it's painful. I mean, the tight end premium. Oh, the other thing, every touchdown is 6 points. So 6 point passing touchdowns. That to me is the reason why you can't pass on quarterback. You just can't pass on quarterback. And I will give you a pronouncement right now. And if I don't do this, I'm going to buy you a beer. At the turn, 112 and 2-1, I'm taking at least one quarterback.
Okay.
If I don't, I owe you a beer. So Familia, RotoWire Familia, you heard it right here. I'm taking quarterback, or I buy Jeff a beer.
Yeah, all right. Otherwise, I owe you one. All right, fair enough there. No, and if I take a non-quarterback, you'll buy me a beer as a thank you. Anyhow, so there you go. So you got it either way.
Especially if it's Joe Burrow, because I know you're going to bring your Joe Burrow jersey.
Oh yeah, I might. My daughter made me a custom Bengals jersey with my last name on. I might go with that too. We'll see. Yeah. So I might go that route instead. But yeah, it's still Bengals jersey. So I got that going for me either way. Yeah, tough call there. Tough call. The other thing I noticed about this league, it's volume. Carries, targets, receptions, first downs. I mean, you name it. Usage is the key.
Oh, it's all about it. You said it right there. This is Spinal Tap. This is volume to 11.
Yes.
Volume. Bijan Robinson. Give me a running back who's going to get 300 carries. Bijan, Gene T, Saquon. People are fading Saquon, and it's like, okay, he's healthy until he's not healthy. People are like, oh, he's going to break down like McCaffrey did last year. It's like, Saquon's injuries the last couple of years have been, where he's missed time, have been ankles, and he's healthy now. So I don't No, and he's still got the best offensive line in the NFL. He's still got Jalen Hurts. I mean, everything is still there. And actually, what may help is the fact that their defense may take a little bit of a step backward. So he might actually, some of those plays where he had to where he sat down at the 1 yard line, where it just all of a sudden it's like maybe he's going to need those plays. But those guys, and your guy Jamar Chase, getting over 125 receptions, Justin Jefferson, those guys. But the tight ends, how do you pass? How in the first round do you pass on Brock Bowers or Trey McBride when they're almost guaranteed to catch over 100 balls this season? And you get the extra point for each one of those receptions. It's so difficult.
So Jorge, I'm going to tell you something now. And if you speak of me, speak well, because I'm going to show my hand here a little bit. If Bowers or McBride are available at the 1.11 right before you, I will be taking one of those two tight ends.
I love it. I
promise. Or I owe you a beer.
I hope my Julia Papworth, who's picking before you, Julia, make sure you leave him either one of those. It's like, okay, if you want to take Bowers, leave him McBride and Joe Burrow. So to make it really a Sophie's choice, Hefe's choice.
Oh no, that's so cruel there, man. Because
I'm going to take, because if Burrow's the best quarterback, I'm taking him.
I know I know that. You know that. American people know that. But if my name ain't Nathan Arizona, all right, let's go. I'm still going to do it. But yeah, I that's a want. I just think those guys, you look at how they project with that volume, nothing has changed in Arizona. Like literally nothing has changed in Arizona. It's time has stood still. The receiver room is exactly the same. It's still left wanting. That means they're funneling everything through McBride. The touchdown luck will be better for him. I'm sure of that. And he's still going to get the same volume.
You know what? And it's I think Dwayne just put something out, and he talked about the fact that over I think it's like the last 20 years, anybody who's caught the number, I think it was it was over 200 passes that Trey McBride caught in the past 2 seasons, and catching 5 touchdowns. That's only happened like 4 times, and 3 of them were running backs. So it's that touchdown number is going to come up. It's not going to be Thanksgiving before he gets his first touchdown. I hope and that Marvin Harrison Jr. does take a step forward. I'd love to see that. We need more. We need more great wide receivers. I think I'd love to see Kyler do that, but I don't see Trey McBride dipping below 100 to 100. I mean, he's going to be 100 to 110 receptions this season, and it's just going to be phenomenal. He may be better than Bowers this year. I mean, it's hard to think that, because Bowers, they added Jack Besh, and that's they've still got Jacoby Myers. That offense is going to run through G&T and Bowers, and it's going to be it's going to be spectacular.
It is. And Chip Kelly's going to maximize Genty. You just know it. That's why I love Genty this year. That's why I've been getting him in so many different places. It's just max usage for him. It's full steam ahead as far as I go. Hot take, the Cardinals, not the Seahawks, should have signed MVS. They needed someone to take the top off. Just run deep all the time there. Stop making Marvin Harrison Jr. do that role. He's not suited for that role. Let him be the guy he's supposed to be. Let him be CeeDee Lamb. Don't make him be this.
Oh God, can you imagine him being a high volume receiver, getting 150 targets?
It'd be sassy.
It would just be, and he bulked himself up a little bit more, so he could, maybe it'll take him a little bit more pounding, playing inside. But I want to see that. He's such. When I looked at the tape of him playing in Ohio State, I mean, just such a beautiful, fluid player. Mm-hmm. And I want to see that guy translate to the NFL. And so, second year in the offense. Let's see. They really only need 2 receivers. If Kyler throws it 500 times, hey, you know what? You get 150 targets to McBride, 140, 150 to Harrison. That's still leaving 200 pass attempts for other guys. For Michael Wilson, a few for James Conner. So let's go. Fill those guys up.
Indeed. We're going to have to talk about one more unique player and a unique scoring rule for him. But first, quick note from our friends over at FanTrax. Is there something you wish your fantasy league had, or features that are missing from your current leagues? Bonus scoring, custom schedules or playoffs, deeper team settings? Well, look no further, because we have you covered with our friends at FanTrax. FanTrax is the most customizable fantasy platform in the industry, offering the greatest fantasy experience for your dynasty, keeper, redraft, and best ball leagues. FanTrax even offers college fantasy football leagues. I know, I've played in them before. It's awesome over there. Create or join a fantasy football commissioner league, invite your friends, and dominate your draft this season. FanTrax is the top fantasy dynasty football program in the industry. FanTrax is running a special promotion you don't want to miss. Sign up for free at fantrax.com/RotoWire today to enter for your chance to win a signed Jamar Chase jersey. Simply create a new league or bring over your existing leagues for more chances to win. No truth to the rumor that I've already signed up 37 bonus leagues there just on the chance of winning a jersey. Simply go to fantrax.com/RotoWire and sign up today. FanTrax, the home of fantasy sports. I'm here with Jorge Martin from Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life. Follow him on Twitter at Jorge Martin 17. And of course, check out all of his good work over at Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life. Jorge, let's talk about the Travis Hunter rule. I'm calling it only the Travis Hunter rule because let's face it, he's the only player that's a two-way player. Yeah. He's the only slash that we have. But you get IDP scoring for everything that Travis Hunter does.
I think you know what? I think it's a little bit of a trick. Kind of like how everybody last year was convinced that Rashid Shaheed was going to get tons of return yardage and he was going to be phenomenal, and he didn't return any kicks all season.
Oh, and that we were going to get all these skill position players to return kicks too, right? Because the new kickoff rule. Yes, it's going to be all these guys. It's going to be a bonanza. It wasn't. Though I will say, I had Austin Eckler on my league, and some ways in my Scott Fishbowl team last year started him. He had a big return day the same day that Jamar Chase had that monster game. Mm-hmm. Somehow, Josh Allen also had a big game for me last year too. Somehow, I won a shootout, playing against Jamar Chase last year in that monster game. But yeah, I mean, you look at Travis Hunter, and I think he's extraordinarily talented. I worry that he's not going to be the number one receiver on his team. Brian Thomas Jr. is clearly going to be the guy who's going to get 150 targets next season. So I'd love to see Travis Hunter get 110 to 125 to be that guy. I don't know that they're going to throw against him enough, because that was one of the worst secondaries in the NFL last year. And what's going to happen? You put a Heisman Trophy winner out there. What is the quarterback going to do? He's going to say, okay, well, there's a cornerback one. Where's my number 2 read? So he's going to go away from him. I think it could be one of those things where he just gets ignored the whole season, and maybe he gets a couple picks. If he gets a pick 6, it'll be great for 1 week. But yeah, and plus he goes in kind of like that in a range with other guys who are like clear wide receiver ones, like Calvin Ridley. I'm very intrigued with him this year. Yeah. And I'm like, it's hard for me to click on Travis Hunter over a Calvin Ridley type. So, but I don't know. Who knows? Maybe after a couple beers, when it comes to, because he will get picked on Saturday, we will have some fun. Maybe we'll toast to either one of us gets him, or somebody else in our league when they grab him. I heard one of the Madison, Wisconsin live fishbowl leagues, he went in the second round. Someone caught a little bit of fever as far as that goes. Like, oh, I've got the cheat code here. And maybe you do. Maybe he gets like 5 tackles a game and he gets like 6 picks on the season or something like that. Not pick 6s, but 6 picks. I don't know. I'm just saying that's what it would take for it to be worth that, I would think. But still, and it's only Travis Hunter really that benefits from that too. So it's a funny thing. Yeah, unless there's another slash that I don't know about, but they're few and far between. So I don't think it's going to be a very likely thing.
Yeah, Cordell Stewart isn't walking in the door.
No, the OG slash. Yeah, I remember how he broke fantasy for a while. How we couldn't figure out how to score it. We couldn't figure out how to position it. Scoring. I mean, my God, when we were playing fantasy back then, I mean, you sometimes had to have your results faxed to you, or the websites were
Yes.
just coming along there. I mean, that's how long ago that was, but and how old we are. But that's another story for another day. Let's talk about correlation, not just to here, but also in overall contest generally. How important is it to you to have correlation, to get a stack, if you will?
I love getting stacks. I love that. I mean, a Burrow Chase stack is probably going to be impossible because I don't think Chase is going. I don't think Burrow is going to be last long enough to come around in the second round for Chase for him to get stacked with Chase. But I mean, to me, a Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr. stack would be so delicious this year. Baker Mayfield and either I know we talked about his offensive line, but Baker Mayfield with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin coming back from that injury. How about this for a stack that you can make late? You get Drake London in the first 2 rounds, and then you get Michael Penix later. And that could just be so as a QB2.
Attainable. Yeah,
that could be so fun. I love that. I love just it's almost like a celebration when they score, because it's like you see both those names on there, and especially with 6 points all TD, it's at least 12 points and all of the yardage. It's just a bonanza of points. So I'd love to see something to, like Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., maybe 10, 12 touchdowns. Bring it on.
I don't think you even have to have the quarterback sometimes. One particular instance, and I did this in Underdog the other day, but Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers.
Would that be so fun? Would that just be so fun? I bet you weren't tempted to grab Geno later?
I was 1 pick away. I got caught in a second quarterback run. Some rapscallion took him right before me, so shame on him. But I ended up with Stafford instead. But I don't think it's necessary. I think it's a bonus. It's best ball, so you want to type, but it's not like we're going crazy over Geno. He's like our quarterback 22, 23, whatever. But getting those 2 guys that get all the usage, if you get the quarterback to go with it, great. It's nice. I don't think it's necessary. But getting those 2 guys at the top, that's the necessary, but not, is the necessary part there. Those are the 2 parts that you have to absolutely get. Not all stacks require a quarterback.
No, not all. And you know what? What was it? I think it was 2 years ago. Same team, Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Unstacked with the quarterback. They were league winner. They were DFS money every week. And they were just, it was like all the carries were going to Jacobs. All of the targets were going to Adams. And I really think you're going to get 20 plus touches for Gene T every week and 10 plus targets to Brock Bowers every week. All day long. And think about it. Think about what Brock Bowers did last year with the quarterbacks that he had, and he gets an upgrade to Geno, and he still doesn't get any real competition in the pass for targets. Oh God. Well, I know you're not. I know you won't let me have Bowers. At 112. So I'll tell you what.
Nice guy that I am. I will renege on my tight end pledge if Jamar Chase is there at 11. How about that? Is that fair?
Okay. If Jamar Chase is still there, I want to check the blood alcohol level of the first 10 people.
If John Mellencamp wins an Oscar, I'll be rich, but that's all right. It's okay. These things are going to happen. All right. Uniqueness. How important is it to have a unique build? That we're playing in a contest with like 4,300 people in it. How important is it to be different than everybody else?
I don't think it's, I think maybe to win, you need to be a little bit different. To win the whole thing, you need to be different. But I had, 2022. I had a team that made it to the semifinals. And the difference between me making the semifinals and getting eliminated was starting Pat Freiermuth over Tyler Higbee on Christmas weekend.
It's always that.
But I had a pretty traditional team. Josh Allen was my quarterback. I had a good quarterback too. Trevor Lawrence had a good season that year.
You got Allen late in that league, didn't you? I feel like you did.
No, I got him 1-on-1
to go with him. I remember you got Allen, and then you had some sort of gift come to you late, because this was down in
Yes,
You were drafting in the kitchen over there.
It was Brandon Ayuk. I got Brandon Ayuk late in his breakout season, and I got him in like the 10th or 11th round, and it was just it was glorious. But no, I picked Austin Eckler because he had they had made the pronouncement that whoever picked him earliest would get a prize. I missed that by like 2 or 3 picks. And he scored 20 touchdowns that year. So it was phenomenal. But, I think the big, I don't know about unique builds, but I do think you need to get some players to hit late. A Brian Thomas Jr. circa last year coming in, and maybe this year. It could be Omarion Hampton is that guy, or or maybe Travis Hunter will go much earlier than that. But I'm trying to think of a rookie who could pop late. That kind of that guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown when he exploded his rookie season. So
sure.
One of those guys who takes over. Bucky Irving last year. I think. Rather than a unique build, I think you gotta have quality late. You gotta hit some home runs there in the late innings.
I agree. Wholeheartedly agree with that. I think that's super important. Now you get Lamar in his breakout year. You got Mahomes in his breakout year, for crying out loud. Josh Allen in his breakout year. You get that's the thing about the weight on the quarterback's game is when you play it, when you hit like that, it's so sweet. It's so choice. And the thing is, you can take a couple shots at it, and it's not that costly. And you can find guys with palpable upside. It's ready to take the leap. Could be Caleb Williams here, for all I know, this year. Could be that. He's objectively pretty bad most of the year, but there was little kernels, and now he's got Ben Johnson. He's got a better offensive line. Oh, I can see it. I can see that story developing there.
And he still ran for close to 500 yards last year, which is kind of that's pretty sexy when you get it. If he could become the first 4,000-yard passer, which I thought it was hilarious when somebody, I think it was Annie Agar, tweeted out that the Bears got a Pope. Chicago got a Pope before they a Chicagoan become Pope before getting a 4,000-yard passer from the Bears. So. You get Caleb late. I don't know how late he's going to go, especially in this league.
In this format, he won't go that late. You're right.
Yeah,
I think you're absolutely right about that. Neither will Justin Fields, for that matter. Just all the running attempts are just going to really fuel that up a little bit. Got one more topic for Jorge, but first, we are on the BlueWire network. Here are their ads. And there we are. Thank you for your patience. Thanks for the BlueWire network for hosting us. Last topic for this is also Scott Fishbowl related, Jorge, and that is the playoff system. First of all, playoffs begin a lot earlier in the Scott Fishbowl than you do in any other format. So, do you draft with the playoffs in mind?
I try not to, but and I haven't looked at the late buys yet. I will be studying up on the late buys because I remember last year I had Josh Allen and he had a buy in like week 13, and which I was afraid I survived that survived that, and I got eliminated I think the 1 or 2 rounds later. But it's I want to not think about it. But I think maybe like on my second quarterback, I will think about it.
Absolutely.
Where I don't want to have two. I don't want to have two quarterbacks. Sitting out at the most. Either or more than one quarterback sitting out in the fantasy playoffs.
So one of the things that hurt us last year is we had 6 teams on bye in week 12 and 6 teams on bye in week 14, and I don't think we have that dynamic this year. I think it's just 4-0 in week 13, 4 again in week 14. The one by Mageddon week this year is week 8. So at least it won't wreck the fantasy playoffs in this format. And week 14 was hurtful in a lot of standard leagues who play like that extra round of playoffs. They play 3 rounds of playoffs, got wrecked by that. And I think it was like Baltimore and Cincinnati, or it was some like good teams, good offenses in week 14, which is just a total wrecker when you have playoffs and you don't have your studs.
I think the Bills were on a bye in there too.
Yeah.
So it's painful to watch those guys, and then they get cut at that point. It's again, it's back to the guillotine mentality. If your stud quarterback gets if your stud quarterback's on a bye and you get cut, oh well, then
right. I would also recommend fabbing 2 weeks ahead of time in advance, especially if you're going to be making the playoffs. Fab early. Try to prepare a little bit for those, so because so you don't get cut off, because that's a real damage thing there if you're having to play with the weak spot there and that your playoff run there. Jorge, this is awesome. Again, tell everybody where they can find you.
Jorge Martin 17 on Twitter, and please come to fantasylife.com after you visit rotowire.com. You want if you want even more, you can't get your fill, come on over. And I worked on our Fantasy Life magazine, which is on newsstands now, so get out there. But yeah, definitely enjoy the new website, the new look. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter, because we're in your inbox every morning, and with the latest and greatest news that we have coming out. And it's fantasy season. It really, the Scott Fish Bowl really does feel like it rings in the fantasy season, and I think it's just, I think it's beautiful. I think so many people are coming out of the woodwork and just to enjoy the game. And let's go, join every league, guillotine, redraft, superflex, auction, the whole 9 yards, best ball, everything. Play it all.
Yeah, if you like to take a magazine into a draft, go get theirs. We are out of the magazine business right now, and so I'm glad there's someone still publishing a mag, because I do like the hard paper in front of me sometimes. It's just the articles too. It's always good for that. When you want to check out RotoWire, go use promo code YouTube15, get 15% off any RotoWire subscription. Hopefully you like our purple outlook, our purple new display there. We love it. We like our redesign, so check it all out. Again, follow Jorge at Jorge Martin 17, and thank you again for listening. Jorge, thank you for joining me. Salud.